Lydia Duprat here, aka the Hoe Mentor, and I mentor hoes. That's right, hoes. Today I'm going to tell you about my body plastic surgery journey. I did a video about all the surgeries that I've had on my face and all the cosmetic procedures I've had on my face. So let's talk about the things that I've done to my body over the years. I definitely had more work done to my face than my body. So let's just start with an overall. I've had 2 breast augmentations, and I had liposuction in 5 areas, specifically for the reason for my fat transfer into my butt. So it wasn't like 5 separate occasions of doing liposuction. That is actually it. I've done one sort of body contouring procedure, and that was thermage. I'll just tell you now, I didn't like it. I didn't see any results worth the price, and I would not do it again. And I did it on my stomach, and I did it on my thighs, and I did it on my chin. Not significant. So we'll just start with that. Not impressed. Let's start with my first breast augmentation, which was an absolute nightmare. I got it when I think I was 19 or 20 years old. I got saline implants underneath the muscle, and they were 500 cc's. I had a natural D cup at first, but they were kind of deflated. So my goal was to have larger, fuller breasts to kind of reinflate them. So I ended up from a natural D to a triple D with that surgery. So I gained 2 cup sizes, maybe 3, depending if it was my time of the month or not. The actual procedure was terrible. The doctor that I went to was T Greenburg on Long Island in New York. I wouldn't go back. I had multiple complications even when I was on the table. I remember opening my eyes after the surgery, and everyone went, and I was like, what's going on? And the nurse literally said, we couldn't wake you up. They had given me too much anesthesia. I know that the surgeon is separate from the anesthesiologist, but they are working together, and I feel like there should be some sort of checks and balance system in that. So I'm going to put blame on the doctor as much as the anesthesiologist. After the surgery, I had to have a catheter in me, and I had to see a prostate doctor, which is only for men, because I was not able to urinate because there was so much anesthesia. So they actually put me on prostate medication to get me to start urinating again. So I had a freaking catheter and a bag of pee strapped to me for weeks. I was in severe pain. They did not give me the proper medication to get me out of pain. What I will say is good is that the scars healed very well. They were small, and the incisions were in the crease of my breasts, and I did like the way that they healed. I ended up having capsular contracture a couple years into it, which is when the breasts harden and I guess get displaced. So I had issues with my breasts sliding into my armpits. I will say, though, a lot of that probably had to do with I went to work I think 3 weeks after I had my surgery, and I was shooting scenes. So I definitely didn't give myself enough time to heal. But the actual surgical experience, the bedside manner, was terrible. I had found T Greenburg because he had an advertisement on a bus stop. And the way I saw it was, wow, this guy can afford advertising. He must be making money, so therefore he must be doing good. I was that young. The internet was not as advanced with all the, real self and all of these opportunities for research. It just wasn't out there like it is now. And I probably didn't even think to do the research. I was just so excited to get breast augmentation, and that I actually had money to afford it. I got the money from webcamming, and it was like the first major investment I had put into myself. But overall, after the catheter came out, I was happy with them overall. I felt like I had so much more confidence, and they looked pretty natural. So I was happy with the result for the first couple years until I started having that issue. But yeah, I regret going with saline because they just didn't feel as natural. I didn't like that at all. And with the capsular contracture, it made them even harder. I had originally asked for silicone, but I believe there was some sort of law that if you were under a certain age that you couldn't actually get silicone, or that's at least what they told me. But I would have originally wanted to opt for it. Now, the price for the augmentation, I believe, was $7,000. So that's what I could afford at the time, and I got what I paid for. So what? I'm happy I lived. It was shocking that I almost died on my first surgery. So years later, I had my second breast augmentation, and I went to South Florida to Dr. Don Revis, which he's like the master of boob jobs, especially revisions. The procedure I had with Revis was we did 750 cc silicone implants under the muscle with an internal lift and another type of lift, Benelli lift. So it's like a half lift, and then with the internal bra. Initially, the result was magnificent. They looked like the best breasts I had ever seen. I couldn't have been happier with them. But I had another complication, and the stitches in the internal bra on the right side actually ruptured, and I had already flown home. And I had told the doctor that, hey, I know for a fact the stitches are ripped, and he didn't believe me. And I was trying to explain to him, I'm in excruciating pain, it's ripped, it popped, what do I do? And he didn't take me seriously. So I was really, really agitated with that. Overall, though, the office was good. They were professional. I also got fillers and Botox while I was there. Really good results. Loved the results. And I went with my best friend. She took me to Florida. We also brought my dog, Lily. This was before I had money. So Lily came, and overall, it was a pretty good recovery. Everything was cool. I completely regret the size, and I completely regret the place where we did the incision, which was around the nipple. Now, the only reason we did that is because for the lift, that's how it had to go in. So I was like, all right, fine. Like, I would, I guess, rather have the scar if I take care of it and not have them sag. So that was a sacrifice I made in my head. He told me to trust him. It would be fine. Ultimately, it's okay, but I still see the scars, and it makes me self-conscious. I've also lost some pigmentation around the nipple. I guess the areola. I've lost pigmentation in my areola, and I totally regret it. I regret the size. They are way too big for my body. They cause me constant pain. I'm always in pain because of the ripped incision in the internal bra, which just never healed properly. So this implant will actually fall into my armpit while this one stays fine. But I do plan on having my implants removed altogether, so I'll have to have a third surgery. I wish I never got my breasts done. Truly, fully regret it. There was nothing wrong with my breasts to start. There was nothing wrong with them. They looked actually good. Me looking back on them, they were fine. And you couldn't have told me otherwise, though. You couldn't have talked me out of it. So whatever. They gave me the confidence I needed, I guess, to get my career started. But ultimately, I regret it. So that's it for breast surgeries. I don't have the removal of my implants on schedule yet because I'm just so petrified and afraid that my breasts are going to look terrible and deflated afterwards because I'm opting not to get a lift. I don't want any more scars on me. I would rather have flat breasts than scarred lifted ones. They'll just be lifted so you can see the scars better. I'm good. I'm sure there's supplements or other things that I could take to enhance the appearance of my breasts without permanently scarring them. So that's the journey of my breasts. Next body surgery that I had was my Brazilian butt lift, which is liposuction to harvest fat. The fat gets purified, and then the fat gets injected into wherever you're enhancing. In my case, it was the buttocks, and that's the surgery. So with my butt, you also get cc's, and I believe I got 700 cc's in each of my butt cheeks. That's a pretty small amount, but I was very athletic at the time, so we just didn't have that much fat to get. But now, as I've gained weight, I'm really happy with the result, and I'm happy with the size. I'm not happy with my total result, and I'll tell you why. But first, I'll start with the process. So we did liposuction in my arms, the back of my love handles, not my stomach at all. I didn't want my stomach liposuction because I don't like the way it looks. I can always tell if a stomach is liposuctioned or not, and I think it very, very rarely ever looks good. So we didn't do that. And I also, my rule with surgery is if you can do it in the gym, do it in the gym. I can get a flat stomach in the gym, but you can get a bigger butt in the gym, but not like surgery can do. Anyway, so that's my reasoning. Also, I had lupus, and I looked bad. So we did, lipo in the arms, love handles, the tailbone. The doctor liposuctioned my tailbone to give it more, of a projection. So addition by subtraction. We did the inside of my thighs, and we also did my knee pads. So I have a bit of fatty knees. I still have fatty knees, but we got rid of a lot of it. So is that all 5 areas? Yeah, 5. So that's what we did. I was awake during the surgery. I wasn't coherent, but I was there. And I remember some things. I remember my body being like shaking, and I remember the doctor talking to me, and I was just a little okay. I remember waking up at the end of the surgery and crying because I was so happy that I had a big butt. So I was really grateful, and overall it was a good experience. They helped me off the table and got me immediately into my compression garment, and I walked out of there. The recovery was brutal. I'll never get a BBL again. I'll never do it again. I was bleeding everywhere. We chose not to do drains. For whatever reason, the doctor thought I didn't need them. And I bled. I ruined a mattress. Thankfully, it wasn't mine. I had rented a suite in Beverly Hills because I just wanted to recover in Beverly Hills and had my assistant with me the whole weekend. So I was in the room for 2 days. Just bleeding. It wasn't like blood. It was just oozing. It was just oozing, and it happened to be red ooze. So it was horrifying looking. I was throwing up. It was a terrible recovery. I didn't do well. But as the first couple days went by, that was the worst of it, and it did get better and better. I felt pain everywhere, ironically, except in my butt. It just wasn't painful. And that's typical with fat transfer, so that wasn't unique to me. And then I saw the result immediately. I was so happy. I loved the contour of my body, and I still love the contour of my body. No matter how much weight I gain or lose, the fat acts like a natural fat. So it gets bigger, it gets smaller with you. And I think the most dramatic thing overall with the body liposuction was my love handles getting removed, because I truly do have that hourglass shape that is so desirable. Now here's what I'm not happy with, is the fat ended up giving me cellulite on my actual butt. I've never had cellulite on my butt before, but when the fat is healing, it needs a fresh blood supply to keep the fat alive and surviving. If the fat doesn't get a fresh blood supply, it dies. Now, it's normal for people to keep between 50 and 80% of the fat, and I definitely kept 65, maybe even 75% of the fat that was initially injected into me. So I was really, really happy with that, but not all of it survived. and I ended up getting these dimples on my butt. I don't even think it's real cellulite. I think it's just what died. So I'm really unhappy with it. I'm really self-conscious about it. The doctor did tell me, hey, you need to work out after this. And I didn't do it. So I was forewarned, because he said, hey, it's fat, like it's going to behave like fat. So who knows? But the dimpling started almost immediately in the healing process. So I don't think it was 100% me, especially because I'm not prone to cellulite on my butt. I'm prone to cellulite on my thighs, which I also have, which I'm also self-conscious about. But yeah, I'm really unhappy with that. So I've thought of a few things, but I haven't decided on what I want to do yet. I'm in this phase where I just don't want to do anything else. Like, I just want my body to rest. I just have a whole face full of fillers, and I'm getting my breast implants removed, and I go through phases where I don't want to do anything to my body at all. Any surgeries, anything. And I'm in that phase, so it's not a good idea for me to make a decision about something as minor as cellulite right now. Especially because I don't make money off my body anymore. In fact, it's just literally from here up. So it would be a personal decision. It doesn't affect my career in any way, which puts it in the category of not really important. But I'm sure if I did proper diet and exercise, that would improve on its own for sure. So I don't regret my BBL because I love the final result, but I will never do it again. Some girls go in for round 2 because they want it even bigger. I don't personally believe in that. I am all about the natural result. A lot of people have no idea. Even my partners that I'm, intimate with, they have no idea that I've had any of these surgeries. Even some of my adult film fans think that my breasts are natural. Like, you guys are crazy, but they could technically pass. So I like to go for the most natural looking result as possible. I think natural never goes out of style. And I do think that a lot of these massive butts are grotesque because they're distorting the natural proportion of the woman. Like, I to me, it looks like a deformity, which is no longer attractive, beautiful, or natural. And also, it's a trend. Just think, like, in the 80s when people were getting these huge torpedo boobs. No one wants that anymore. So I feel like that's what it is now for butts. The huge dumpers that people are going to regret in the future. So I recommend just doing the bare minimum. If you are going to get surgery, especially on your whole body, do the bare minimum to make an improvement that makes you feel really good about yourself. When you're doing things like your butt and your breasts, they tend to get greedy, and it's a real thing. And I was that way with my butt. Initially, I was like, it's too small, even though it was like 40 something inches. It's still 40 something inches, but only because I'm heavier now. 40, I think it's like 42. Listen, a 42-inch butt is big, okay? You're fine. 38-inch butt is big. Like, you're fine. Obviously, I can't tell you what to do with your body. I'd be such a hypocrite if I did. But just consider that when you are having these surgeries, like I had nothing wrong with a triple D breast, 500 cc's, but I got greedy, I went too big, and now I regret it. I wanted to get my butt a second round. I was already fantasizing it after the swelling had gone down, and now I'm so glad that I didn't. So if you did have these surgeries already and you're thinking about round 2, wait a little bit longer. And yeah, just enjoy your results and know that cosmetic surgery, plastic surgery is real surgery. It's just as serious if you were getting surgery on any other part of your body that wasn't elective. Keep that in mind. Do your research on your doctors. I'm so happy that I went with Justin Jovino for my butt, and I'm not happy that I went to Greenburg for my breasts. And I am happy that I went to Revis for my second. I did the research and I did not do the research, and I got results equal to the amount of research and the prices that I paid. Also, my second boob job, I think, came out to like 10 or 11,000. I hardly remember it, honestly, but it definitely wasn't more than 12. Maybe it was 12,000. And my butt, I believe, was 15,000. I know that you can go international, or things are always cheaper in Florida, but for me, a luxury is having surgeons in Beverly Hills because I feel comfortable. Justin is a friend of mine, so I also feel comfortable. Justin and his wife. So his wife does the anesthesia, Sarah. She also just did my recent injections. And, you know, Justin does the surgery. So I'm like, these are people, I've had dinner with them before. Like, these are people that I trust with my life. Also, and being in Beverly Hills, it's close to my home. So having gone to Florida to have surgery and then having to fly home, I don't think that was healthy for my recovery. It was stressful. And I was so high, I don't even remember traveling. I don't remember it at all. And that's dangerous in itself. So for me, it's worth paying an extra few grand to be home, comfortable, and surrounded with people that you trust. So, yeah, that's my body surgeries. And hope that brings some clarity, because if you ever look at me and you're like, how come I don't look like that? It's just because you haven't had those surgeries yet. That's all. Okay, great. So I'll see you for the next video. I love you. Take care of yourself. And before you do anything, do your research. Put your health over prices, please. And you're beautiful right now.